So I hope that you guys can see the presentation. I'm live on TikTok. Welcome, TikTok. I'm going to go live on Instagram now. Hey, Instagram, I'm live. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And today I'm doing part 2 of the deconstructing of our minds. I'm just going to do a little recap on what we did up when we were here yesterday. Just so you can get an idea, and then if you want to go and check out the presentation, it's on YouTube and it's on Instagram. So this is a presentation on reclaiming freedom, a healing journey from religious and church cult abuse. So I looked at recognizing the cult characteristics by Yanya Lalage, understanding cognitive dissonance, deconstructing the teachings. We looked at must know, harmful verses, the ones that they use to abuse us. I done an eco mapping showing how the cult leader being mediator weakens the relationship that you have with God. YouTube, I can't see the comments, so if you're on, welcome. Then we went through Carl Jung projection. We spoke about shadow work and how you do that to heal. We spoke about the 5 stages of grief. And we also looked at some of the influence continuum and some of the scriptures that they use to keep you trapped in the self-sealing system. So today we're going to be looking at rediscovering your values and morals. And I might go into a bit of another presentation because it looked quite good. But I thought, let me just go in and talk about how you develop these because, hey, Queen Lucia, I throw a lot of things around, but don't really go into depth. So I thought that I'd use some of the time to talk about cult deconstruction. Thank goodness. So how do you rediscover your values and morals, and why is this important? This is important because your values and your morals and your identity were all wrapped around and revolved around being firstly born again, being a born again Christian, and secondly being a member of the cult. Okay, so when you come out, you lose all of that. You lose your identity as a born again Christian because you start to deconstruct and say, oh, wait, hold on. There must be some EVIL attached to this. You start to deconstruct Christianity and find out some really, really difficult truths to swallow. So what I say to people is, you know, at this point when you leave the cult, the difference between some people need to go into psychosis and lose their mind and get sections that they can get on the right medication. We need to like demystify the demonization and the lies around mental health, because as you know, in these settings they think it's a DEMON, and that's why people are getting ABUSED'd in these settings through you know, like deliverances, which is just, it's just brutality against another person. They're not following the scriptures and they're just taking it like outside and creating all of these false doctrines, and people are getting ABUSED'd and indoctrinated. So it's really important to shape your core values and your beliefs, because when you're in there, it was like what the pastor told you to do. It was how the pastor told you to act. They control even your emotions and your cognition. So they rewire your brain to be a lave and a servant so that you'll do whatever they say. And you won't use really important parts of your brain functioning to make decisions and choices and have autonomous critical thought. So let's look at it. So you need to think about, like, what is the mantra of your life? Like for me, mine is, I do what makes me happy, but that might change soon because, well, my ex told me that, but, you know, people can still say things even when you're, you know, not together anymore, and it can resonate. And I just feel like I like to do things that make me happy, because when I was in the church cult, they would say that ministry is not about being happy. It was the total antithesis of that. And it was all about me, you know, trying to please everyone else but myself. Guys, please like up the live. And YouTube, make sure you subscribe and like. So looking at what the mantra is in life. So mine's like doing what makes me happy, no self-limiting beliefs, and also not to feel like I have imposter syndrome, because we can feel like that afterwards, you know what I mean? Like we're not good enough, because they kind of instill that type of rhetoric into us. And that's because for me, when I came out and I was doing my post, I was just saying, oh my God, it's like nothing is ever good enough. And I didn't think anyone would understand it, because I felt like I was bugging out, chair. But it resonated so much with people that I just sat there the whole time and said nothing I do was ever good enough. And I'm just bawling. because it's so hard to articulate and explain what happened. And I think for us guys, let's say that this is all that happened. I think that this would be enough. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because it validates our experiences and they've been exposed. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that helps. That do you know how many people just this content has helped? Like where people would have gone, lost their mind, ended up going around in cycles, going to all these abusive, religious spaces. But now it's like people are taking time to kind of like go with it. Is Joker on? And deconstruct. All right. So self-reflection is really important. Identify what matters to you. So what qualities do you value most in yourself and others? So for me personally, kindness is something that's really important to me, and I think that because for example, something like kindness, it can seem really small, but when you go into these places, it's all acting and all fake. So if you are kind innately and you have that type of love in your heart for others, if other people around you, even if what they're saying sounds good, if you are seeing that those people are not practically demonstrating, hey babe, practically demonstrating kindness, then that should be an indication for you, because that's a quality that you expect in yourself and others. Do you get what I'm saying? Like how many friends have we kept, guys, where we put so much energy into the friendship or the relationship and we don't get that same energy back? That's why people get divorced. Are you having a laugh? I'm putting in all this energy and you're just sitting there. And it's a point where women are getting to this point and they're saying, nah, do you know what? Sorry, YouTube, I'm messing up the view in it. Can you still see? It's like wives are saying, like, I've had enough. I'm doing everything here. This don't make sense. It's not adding up. I'm out. Oh, Vanessa. People are coming in gifting her. They're looking good. People are outside looking good and they're feeling happy and they're gifting her. Oh, my God. Oh, look at her. Look at her small gym and small waistline going in. And she is giving. Oh my God. Because people are out there looking good. That's how the pastors do it. They start, Vanessa, they start gassing you up to give. Oh my God, look at what the Lord has done for her. Oh my God, not only is she blessing her financially, she's blessing her to look so good. You're looking so good. They start getting excited. Vanessa, they start getting excited when people are getting up to give the offerings. They start getting gassed for it. That's when they start getting, like they start going into the hyper religiosity, and they'll be like, Leah, have you got a beloved? Oh no, pastor, no. You are generous. I see the Lord blessing you. As you have blessed the Lord, as you have blessed and sacrificed for the work of the ministry, the Lord himself will give you a husband, and your husband will love you, and your husband will be kind to you, and your husband will spend money on you. You have a good husband that will give you good. That's what they're saying, as they're collecting the offering chair. Right. So thank you, Queen. Thank you very, very much for your gifts. Consider your priorities. This is so important, guys. What was that saying that my manager used to say? She used to say, not everything is a priority, but some things are urgent. So it's like, you've got to differentiate between the two, guys, because in this cult, everything's urgent. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you need to have your own priorities and your own urgency, because what cults will do is have it, they make the cult synonymous with God. So it's like nothing should be above the cult, not your family. They think having husbands is the greatest achievement a woman can attain. Lack of decorum. Yeah, it's very barbaric in there. Do you know what, babe? Do you know why so many women, have got married so young? 19, 21, 22, 23. They don't even know themselves, let alone what they want in a relationship. And that's why they like the women to marry young. When they're young, DUMB, and naive. And then they end up with these guys they don't bring nothing to the relationship. The woman's carrying everything. That's why I say focus on yourself. Focus on yourself, bruv. Level up, focus on your side hustle, and then go outside. Them ones. Because guys, let me tell you something. What you put out is what you attract. When they're young, they're moldable. Yeah, Miss Lotus. Do you know what? I've even got content where my cult leader is saying in a camp that young people are impressionable and naive. So they know. And you know, when you come out of a cult, the one thing that you're going to be battling and going back and forth in your mind is, did they know what they were doing? Are they aware that they're using psychology? Are they aware that they're coercing people? Are they aware that they're teeth for money? Yes, of course they are. They know what they're doing. When they've got a whole institution, a whole organization that's just full up of young people on a Sunday, and then they're getting them to be doing outreach and this, that, and the third, of course they know. That's why they target and recruit vulnerable young people. Guys, listen to me, yeah? The only thing that's still riding off the back of this particular group, yeah, is the fact that they got second gens who were indoctrinated from birth. And then what happens is they church cult hop. So they just hop from different ones. So what you'll find is if you go to RPF, there'll be people there from First Love, Mustard Seed, NGRM, SPAC, or it might be one person who's gone to all four of the cults, do you get me, and ended up in RPF. All they do is move around. It's just recycled Christians. Like in that Trinity Baptist one, there's a lot of survivors from my cult, a lot of like ex-survivors. And I get it. They have to go somewhere because it's like, oh my God, where do we go? But why is it the same names that keep coming up? It's the same cults. It's the same cults that keep coming up. So do you see that people are just, it's like an addiction. Do you get it? Like they're addicted to that kind of space. Because I remember going to a sound doctrinal space for the first time, and the praise and worship, it didn't have the frills, it didn't have the lights, camera action, all of the stuff that they do up, you know, the musical, mystical manipulation. It was just a man there standing with a guitar singing. I could still vibe with it, but it weren't like the clappy hands, like what I'm used to. Like, and there's a certain pride and ego that comes to these spaces. It's not better than my cult. We've got the best praise and worship. We've got the best leader. He preaches the best. That's where the elitism comes into it, because for us versus them to exist, for them to be able to isolate people, for them to be able to gaslight people, there's got to be that element of us versus them and elitism. That's why they walk around like there's so much judgment. Yeah, the four worst ones. The ones when people come on the live, these are the cults that they're naming. Do you get it? So this is why considering your priorities, guys, and I actually wrote this down, is really important, because do you see that once you've got your core values, let's just forget beliefs for a minute, your core values, like your mantra of life, like what galvanizes you to wake up in the morning, what helps you through life, yeah? That could even be a scripture. Do you understand what I'm saying? But for me, when I came out, the canon was so triggering. I had to really think outside of the box. So what aspects of life are most important to you? E.g., family, career, health, social justice. For example, if you're a humanitarian and you really care about like your fellow humans, and that could link into your values, because I'm a humanitarian. So that links into my values. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I feel like religion doesn't allow me to have a non-biased, non-judgmental lens to society and the world we live in. And as a social justice activist and a youth and community worker, I don't think that I can come in with those beliefs. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because I'm working and dealing with many different people. And with this sphere, I come across people with the most individualistic types of values, thoughts, beliefs, spirituality. So I have to be really open to almost like a student. I see myself as a student, and I'm here to learn from others. So I don't close myself off to hearing out what someone's got to say. Again, another one of my values, which is huge, is empathy. It's absolutely at the top. And I feel like in that, what that helps me to do is protect myself and my energy from narcissists, actors, because you see, empathy, you can't fake that. It will come out in very subtle things. Like, for example, I used to notice things in people, like they were scornful of homeless people in the cult. Do you know what I mean? The way they would act when people would come that were of a lower socio-economic status, you know, it's all of that kind of thing. You'll see it in their behaviors. You'll see it in the way that they talk about other groups, about other people behind closed doors. And so if you've got your values and you've got your morals and you've got your priorities and you've got all of these things in your psyche, like in your brain, it doesn't matter whether you get invited to whatever, you will be able to stand in your truth and your authenticity, because these values and these morals are embedded deep within. The issue with this is some young people will be embedded with values and certain principles and morals from childhood if they've had somewhat of a secure attachment when growing up. But the reality is a lot of the young people that find themselves in these spaces are from disorganized, unsecure attachments with their parents. So they don't have any kind of values or morals or principles or anything instilled in them. So when they come into these settings, you know, they're just like a sponge. And then if you've got people who never had a parent around or whatever, and they're promising spiritual father, they're being disciplined and being very militant and very ABUS. If you know what I'm saying, they're being ABUSE towards you. You will see that as love, because throughout your life, all you've ever received as love is ABUSE. On the other hand, if you have had certain morals and whatever instilled by your parents, they come and they wipe that out. And they use a transcendent belief system, which is the twisted and manipulating of scriptures to get you to do what they want, aka have full control over your life. They entrap and enslave your mind to the point where when they're not around, you're making decisions in every area of your life based off the indoctrination. Let's talk about social conformity. The social conformity is when they've got people in there severely indoctrinated and they're all doing the same thing. If there's 500 people and they ask a question, and that question, everybody knows that they have to put up their hand because it has to be yes. Even if out of those 500 people you feel like it's no because of your values and your morals and your whatever, you are going to feel a pressure because of social conformity to put up your hand because you're going to look like the odd one. Yeah. So that's the whole ideology of that. So when you're surrounded by people, and then let's lace this with information control, the whole ideology of having you stuck in a self-sealing system around the same people every day. This is another reason why people don't grow. There's age regression in cults because they're not around any new people. It's like working in Tesco on the cash point for 30 years. And there's nothing wrong with that because I respect it. Do what you got to do to feed your kids, innit? But I'm saying for someone who has more potential, let's say they've got a degree or but there's a fear of them going for the job to get rejected. So they're just working at, as a cashier the whole time. There's no like elevation, your brain doesn't expand. It's like very robotic. And that's what happens in these spaces. Like they'll be doing the same thing. There's absolutely no progression. Like even when it goes to a pastor, all they're doing is the same thing, but they're teaching others, but they would have been doing that anyway. And that's why, and do you know what, Queen? That's the point of the positions, titles, the pyramid scheme, because it creates the illusion that people are progressing in life. It creates the illusion that people are, like moving forward in life. And then because they like prize the very basic things, as Vanessa said, like a wife, a husband as a prize, getting a house as a prize, working a normal 9 to 5, like these are things that, high class people who are high class, these things are like the air you breathe, chair. But because a lot of people are from deprived neighborhoods, broken homes, these are very like Eurocentric man-made social constructs that the government have created, which makes you look like a civil citizen. So when you are outside of the box and you're not married, going to work 9 to 5, dressing the way they want you to dress, conservative, this, that, and that, it's like you're branded almost as a rebel, or you're branded as this, that, and the third. You're not seen as like, like when you have them married couples and they're all conservative, living their fake single married life. They don't want a young, hot divorcee coming in and talking about her fabulous life and what she gets up on the week. They feel threatened. Do you understand what I'm saying? They like to. You'll notice that like all married couples usually just have like married friends, because by that time they're all miserable. They don't want that. They can't have them single friends. It's because they can't face the reality that their life is miserable. So they want people around them. Do you understand? And it's the same with cults. That's the information control. Yeah, they'll see you as the bad apple, but we all know it's projection from the shadow self, isn't it? Hey, Sarah. So let's look at defining your core values. So once you've list your key principles, write down words that represent your most important values, such as integrity, fairness, compassion, courage, whatever. Guys, I wrote this so quick. Is this making sense? Yeah. And it's on YouTube and it's on Instagram. It's a little bit blurry on Instagram, but we've got the recording. Because guys, this is good for like, you know, when you're cleaning, you're doing like a little spring clean or a deep clean, you just put it on one time. You get me? Just have it playing in the background whilst you're cooking. You get me? When you're feeling a bit like, oh, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. That's why I'm making these kind of videos here. They're almost like, you know, like 911, like 101, like if you feel like raw, I need something, you could just put it on and it's just straight cult psycho ed. There's no like me going into other things. My story is just straight, you know, because this is what will help to deprogram your mind, guys. Prioritize your values. Identify which values are most important to you in different situations. So mine is like empathy. That's so important. If someone don't have empathy, guys, you got to let them go. All right, so important moral values to consider: honesty, being truthful and transparent in all interactions. And guys, this might take a little while to see in people. That's why you become an observer and you take a seat back. You don't let people in your energy tenny in the cup. You don't let people in your energy. You protect your space. And then once you start to see, because you have to see these characteristics being built in a person. So respect. And guys, I'm very big on this, and you'll notice once someone disrespects me, I absolutely kick off, because it's like, put some respect on my name. Like, respect is very important to me, and it works both ways. And if I'm in a relationship with someone, and that's why I divorced my husband, because I don't respect you anymore. I need to look at you like my head. I need to look at you like my leader, according to this word. And a lot of it is just binding magic when it comes to marriage. That's why a lot of them are living in a curse. Do you see it? Because it's all binding magic. So once you start going against that law, that you've actively signed, you know, you've signed it in the dotted line, you've bound yourself to this person. Once you start going against, that's when it all starts breaking down. So I had an understanding of that. I'm lying before myself, I'm lying before man, and I'm lying before God. I can't respect this man. I can't honor this man. He's supposed to be the head. So if I stay in this relationship, I'm going to be living in a curse. And that's why kids get all of that trauma, all of those attachment issues. And do you know what? I've noticed that it's even harder for survivors that have had like the 2.0 family on the outside, but then they've had to be fake. There's a lot of suppression. Like, a lot of those young people self, you know what, HARM, and a lot of them lose their minds, and a lot of them can't get into like relationships because they're afraid. So for me personally, like, I think I'd love to do a piece on that, like some research on like single kids that have come from single parent homes, because I think they would see that kids that come from single parent homes actually are higher achievers. Do you understand what I'm saying? So there's a lot of, guys, this is a new time that we're living in. I think there's going to be a lot more updates, you know, in terms of childhood development and research around that, because we are seeing the impact, especially when it comes to religion, the impact that it has on the dynamics of these relationships. So understand and sharing the feelings of others. That's why I say, if you can't respect your leader, leave. Because respect is very important. Understanding and sharing the feelings of others, being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes. So the reason why empathy is so important to me is because I really hate judgment. I don't like judgment. I don't like discrimination. I don't like biased opinion. That's why I can't vibe with religion anymore. DJ in the car, I can't vibe with religion because it's too low vibrational for me, and I just love people. I love myself. And if I've loved myself through everything, all of the different seasons and cycles that I've gone through, and God has shown that love to me, non-judgmental, always been there, never left me. If you're an atheist, please just take what resonates and what doesn't. I love y'all. Okay? And that's where we need to get to, guys. We need to have that personal relationship with God. We need to have forgiveness in our heart, so that you know, we don't allow that energy, we don't allow like an open door for that type of low vibrational wicked energy. Fairness, so treating everyone equally and justly. So for me, guys, do you see that because I had to strip it all back, like just get off religion for a bit, deconstruct Christianity, alongside this though, before I'm developing my morals and my values, because fairness. So for me, religion, do you see that religion doesn't fit into my morals and values? Because in order for me to treat everyone equally and justly, I'm just spiritual. And even though I believe in Jesus Christ, I still feel like people can believe in Christ or not, or be atheist or whatever, all they want, because my morals and values is that I treat everyone equally and justly, and that's on period point blank. And that will be controversial to them. Just, and that's exactly what Christ taught. That's exactly what Christ taught, was just empathy, love, fairness. That's all he did. That's why he was sitting with the you know what schmegs workers and the sinners and the, but they just don't get it. They just don't get it. They just don't get it. Responsibility, taking ownership of your actions and their consequences. This is big because these cults lack accountability. So for me, I need someone who has that awareness, self-awareness, where they will take accountability and responsibility for their actions. Because me personally, even if, because I've had a few friendships that haven't worked, and I've started thinking I've got to look at myself. As much as what they've done is wicked, what they've done is this, what they've done is that, I do have to look at myself, because why does this keep on happening? I have to take accountability, and that's why I roll by on my ones now, because I need to take time to get to know myself. And I don't care if you want to stay on the phone with me. For myself, I don't want you around me, innit? And I've got to put myself first, because I've got to take ownership of my actions and also the consequences that come from being in a relationship. Especially there's a lot of manipulative people, Chair. Yeah, it's a part of self-reflection, 100%. And compassion, showing kindness and concern for others. Because guys, do you know what? If you develop these morals in yourself, what you'll find there is that these people in spaces, they don't have the basic fundamentals of what it takes to just be a kind person. And Christ was a kind person. I'm sorry, there was no sin within him. You know them ones. All right, let's look at a bit of theory, guys. Are you still with me? Guys, do you know what? Cult psychoed, academics, presentations. This is really what I love to do. And we've got, this is what I used to get paid to do, Chad. Have you got a job? Jobless girl. Unemployed. Could you do this? Come on then. Come on, trolls. Get off the FYP and come and explain this model that I created. Ah! Come and create the model come and explain the model that I created then, because I'm just a jobless girl. So come and tell us what this all means. All right, TikTok, I'm just going to hold it. All right, so we're going to look at some theory to inform, to help us, to inform our deconstruction and our deprogramming. And then we're going to look at some theory to intervene. So these are the things that you have to do to practically help you to heal, all right? So this is something that you won't find in the church cults chair. They'll just give you a scripture. So theory to inform. And guys, I've held it still for you if you want to take a screenshot. Grief and loss, cult characteristics and tactics. So the cult characteristics is an analytical tool that helps you to measure the typology of ABUSE, or there might be sort of certain culture or characteristics that you've seen in your church and you want to see, is it a cult, is it a church? You need to use this, which is Yanya Lalige's cult characteristics. Also, we've got the BITE model. That's Stephen Hassan. You guys have taken your screenshot, innit? We've got the BITE model, the works of Stephen Hassan, that looks at authoritarian control through behavior, information, thought, and emotional control. Life stages. So I will do something on life stages, but guys, the long and short of it is that we all start from birth to adulthood into elderly, then to end of life, right? And we have to go through all of these stages: roller coasters, calm, natural cycle of life. Things will happen. People get old, people get sick. But in the cult, you'll see them go into hyper religious, like spiritual psychotic states where it's like, you know, a child, I don't know, gets ill, whatever, and they're rebuking the devil and whatever. It's just about, again, you know what we can put into this as well, like critical thinking, cognition, etc. Is it making sense? Anti-discriminatory practice. So for me, this is just, you know, being anti-discriminatory, because if people are doing up discrimination and prejudice, then how can it be an environment that advocates for love and kindness and whatever? Attachment theory is so important, guys. And guys, let me know, do you think that an attachment theory type of presentation would be of use? Because attachment really is, I think, integral in healing, because I think you have to go back before you can go forwards with therapy, because it really is kind of like healing the inner child, looking at, so if you had like a disorganized attachment, that would mean that mum or dad was ABUSE towards you, you might have been neglected as a child, etc. So that will, oh okay, all right, I'll do it then. It will be good for me to brush up on it as well. Social works, girls. Oh, actually, I've got a presentation. Let me go see if I can find my presentation chair. I got a first class for that. But guys, I'll do my lunch at 12. And then I'll try and find that presentation. And if I find it, I'll come back on. and do it. No, I'll have a break after this, look for the presentation, eat, and come on and do it, chair. Because that is so important, because you see that childhood attachment, yeah, that will show you how, like, why you choose certain partners, because it might be that like, for example, because I had an insecure attachment with my dad, that means that I go for men that are what's the word, guys, when they're not emotionally present? Oh, you know what I'm talking about. They're like emotionally detached. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, they can't commit. Do you get what I'm saying? Because my dad didn't commit to me, so I was attracting those type of guys in situations where they couldn't be. What's the word, guys? So I form codependent trauma bonds with people. Emotionally unavailable, yeah. But Lucia, you were close though. That's it, emotionally unavailable. Transference and counter-transference, we spoke about that. And then the psychosocial, guys, the psychosocial views theory is very important as well. So theory to intervene. These are things that help you to heal in real time. So the systems theory is important, guys, because when you look at that, it shows you that no man is an island. And when you come out of these systems, that was your whole infrastructure of your system of support. Million ways, hey. So when you come out, you gotta have a system around you. So for example, your GP, are they aware you've left a cult? Are they aware you're struggling with your mental health? Do you need a therapist? Join a community center. Look at what's out there for you. What do you have access to? I'm good, thank you. Yourself? Shadow work. I did a whole presentation on that. If you want to check it out, go on YouTube. It's my most recent video before this. I break it all down. A lot of the anger, a lot of the toxic cyclical patterns that you get yourself into is because you haven't done shadow work. You haven't gone into the unconscious mind, because the unconscious mind influences our conscious mind more than we think and know. So getting a little bit of psychology around that, looking into young shadow work and projection work will be absolutely imperative. Thank you, my love, for healing and also deconstructing. Spiritual self-care practices. So again, guys, I've spoken about little things like this. I don't speak to anyone on the phone. I don't give anyone access to myself. I'm very accessible online, but when it comes to getting close to me, knowing about my business, knowing who I'm talking to, if I am talking to someone, knowing what I do in my yard, knowing about my youth, knowing about what's going on with my family, very personal. No one knows that. No one knows that. Very few people I can count on one hand. And I've learnt the hard way. I've learnt telling all my business to 304s. Do you get what I'm saying? Them sleeping with my ting that I'm seeing behind my back. All of that. So I've had to learn the hard way. So think about what your self-care practices are. For me personally, I like to spend a lot of time on my own in this season, just because I've just got my BPD diagnosis. And part of that is protecting myself and my energy. So right now I can't be out dating because I'm a vulnerable adult. Once I've been on my meds, I've only been on my meds for a month. Where am I going? Where am I going, please? To be going and doing up what? To be going and letting any man come in the coochie in my portal, be siphoning all my energy and draining me out. I don't even know if this man's married. I don't know if he's in a relationship. I don't know if he's honest. I don't know if he's a narcissist. I don't know what type of trauma he's carrying. Queen Georgia in the cut. For him to come and transfer that onto me. And then after 3 months, once he's got the good, you know what, and then he knows he could just get it anytime, then he starts to act an idiot. Nah, not on my watch. Not on my watch. I need to be secure enough that even if I give up the coochie after 3 months and my man goes, I'm secure in myself. Like, okay, I can deal with this. I'm mentally and emotionally strong to keep it pushing and moving, because I've been celibate for almost 2 years now. I was speaking to my ninja the other day, yeah, because he wanted to come true. I said, nah, man. I was like, it's like when you're on your deen, because he's Muslim, so I can really use the religious thing. That's why I like the Muslim man them, because they're really, they go to the mosque like 5 times, So I was like, no, you can't come true. Like, he was like, no, man. Like, really trying to track the thing. I said, I'm celibate, baby. You get me? So, and again, that can go into my values and morals. Hello, Reverend. Welcome. And advocacy. Having an advocate and also utilizing these advocacy services, guys, are really, really important as well, because it might be a thing where you've got yourself into debt. So you need to go and do up, what's those people? Guys, oh my God, how could I forget the people that help you with the debt? Oh, guys, what are they called again? Citizens Advice Bureau. Citizens Advice Bureau. It might be, help with debt or whatever. Then we've got at the bottom, principles, values, beliefs, and morals. So do you see how that governs even the theory to inform, the theory to intervene? Because that will align. Do you understand what I'm saying with your values and morals again? And then on the side, I've just got some of the most important things to consider. So like leveling up, self-care, maintain your identity, form your identity, control and independence, because we didn't have dependence. We didn't have independence. We were dependent on them, codependent on them. So independence, building your confidence is very important. And just acknowledging your individuality. So again, Queen Georgia, I'll use you as an example. You've been doing your art. That's a gift. A gift that if you had been in these closed self-sealing systems, you wouldn't have known that you're a whole artist, you know. And healing is beautiful because through the arts and through creativity, you can express yourself. And Georgia, you are an artist. You're not just like, you get me? So that comes through that individuality and that showing up. Do you know what I mean? In your fashion, in your creativity, coming out of the shell of self, because they made us walk on eggshells and be a shell. It's all right, Queen, I love you. So it's about that, just explorative freedom, complete explorative freedom, individuality, being individualistic, being autonomous, you know, just being able to be you. And guys, do you know what? That's when you've made it. When you're being your true, authentic self, that's when you've made it. That's what wealth is. But they've lied to us because they want us to conform to the system and stay in the matrix. They give us a piece of paper that they print and tell us that we're in trillions of pounds of debt and this and that, just to start endless WARs as a distraction and keep us trapped in the matrix. But we're waking up now. And then for me, what's really important is anti-oppressive practice. Because for me, and guys, it could just be anti-oppressive mindset. Because for me, oppression was a huge thing in these cults. So wherever I pick up on that oppressive tone, even if someone else is talking about another person, but it's oppressive, it's like, no, I can't F with you. No, I can't vibe with that, man. Sorry. But the thing is, I've got, and again, this is where the yin and yang, the balance, the shadow work comes into it, because I do have a dark side, and if someone comes for me, I'm going to come for them. I don't care, because if you're being oppressive to me, I'm going to be oppressive to you. That's on period, point blank. But when it's being done in a way that's just EVIL, it na make it. All right, let's go on. The letting go stage, critical reflection. I don't even know what comes next, guys. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna have to blag this. All right, so guys, when we feel like we're letting go, what will that include? So again, we could go back to the grief stage, because let's go back to the grief stage, because I feel like, sorry guys, you're just gonna see a hand because this is ghetto talk. You know, go like looking at whether you've gone through these stages of grief. And guys, there are a lot of different grief theories, so please feel free to go out and explore them yourself, because there is a really good one that talks about the bubble of grief, and that grief doesn't really go away, because Kubler-Ross argues that you have to get to a point of acceptance. You accept that the thing that's happened, you accept the reality, you come out of that distorted reality. And really, guys, we were in spiritually psychotic and cognitive dissonant states. So it's coming out of that distorted reality into a part of acceptance. And that's why I think that this Kubler-Ross model is good for our grieving process. Do you understand what I'm saying, guys? Because at a point we do need to get to acceptance. And for people who are still believing in Christ, that acceptance is forgiveness. I have got to a point of I'm coming into acceptance, but I haven't fully, I'm still working. I don't know, I feel like I have forgiven them, but there's still a lot of resentment and anger, I think, that I've got. So, you know, you can go up and down, but the whole theory of the bubble of grief one is that it's like the grief is still there, but as the time goes, so it supports the old parable of time as a healer, in essence. Because as the time goes on, you heal and you slowly start to form bubbles outside of that grief, yeah? And you start to form like new bubbles, new life, like new experiences in life. And that makes sense, because say like a woman lost her husband, yeah, and she's a widow, then years later she meets someone, that's a new bubble. And even though the grief is still there, because she might have had a child with a man, so it still acknowledges it. So I do actually like that grief theory. And I think what I will do is I'll talk about that grief theory next, actually. But this one is good for us survivors, because if we're not getting to that point of acceptance, then we're still kind of in a disassociative state. And that's why a lot of people church cult hop. they're in dissociative states, and they find that it's like comfort and religion is their crutch. They'll be very shocked. They'll be very shocked when we have to meet God face to face, Shelley. Do you know what I'm saying, y'all? When people see the truth, yeah. You know, because your girl is that, I've got another presentation right on deck. All right, so I think there was something I wanted to share on this. Okay, so we've already done that. Oh yeah, guys, I want to just talk about this documentary quickly. There's a documentary on Netflix called Cults Explained. So if you haven't watched this, please do go and watch this, share, because this documentary made me kind of see religion like just for what it is. And also all of the Christian, I think I might watch this today, and all of the Christian, you know, like Christianity as a new religious movement. Guys, if I do decide to watch this, I'll do a little watch party like this and put it on. Or I could just log in on my other account and leave it playing. So if anyone wants to watch it, oh, it's on YouTube as well, they can. All right, so just quickly before I go, I want everybody to understand that we all see life through a particular lens, yeah? Now, in the case of religion will determine your beliefs and how you see life, yeah? And there's a lot of like social constructs and deception in that. Do you see why the deconstruction is important? Because the deconstruction helps you to heal from religious trauma. It's a good idea, isn't it, Ines? Because then I could just like eat my lunch. Ooh, I'm doing croissant. Guys, I've got some fancy ham, and I'm going to go and get my Aldi wine, or I might get my Asda wine, and then I'm going to come. So later we're going to have a little... Oh, guys, you'll never guess what, my daughter's having a little transition day in her secondary school tomorrow. So, guys, I'm going to need a lot of support. Tomorrow, I'll probably come on the live crying, I'm not going to lie. And so what we can fall victim to is looking at life through the lens of trauma and fear. Do you know what? I'm actually going to change that to fear. Because, looking at, that's what it is. Oh, my God, what have I done? Looking at life through the lens of fear. I'll change that later. That's what it needs to be, because we're very fearful. They turn us into wimps. And like, you know, like a doormat, like people just walk all over us because we've got no backbone. Everything's fair. Like we give people so much power. That's why God says fear is not from God. That's why the scripture said fear is not from God, because, you know, like God is supposed to be all powerful and mighty. And even atheists don't even fear as much as people who claim to, you know what I'm saying? So your psychosocial views frame your world, and that's your views on how the whole world is, your belief system and cultural influences. So that's why some people are atheists. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because of that's the lens in which they see life, because that's how their parents have taught them. Yeah. So survivors' lives are being framed by almost living in a war zone. There's us versus them. They're fighting an invisible enemy. Everything's about the devil. There's a lot of fear. They live like, and that's why we come out with PTSD and CPTSD, because we're fighting all these spiritual wars. Like the deliverance is horrific. Like I've had survivors like from UCKG. It's really affected them as a child because they've been exposed to, you know, this very like very dark practices, very dark practices of Christianity, which leave people very vulnerable to, like, you know, a lot of like demonic rituals and spirits and things. I actually think that I think that these spirits get into them when they're doing all of these things. That's what I think. And because they're always pointing fingers at the world, I think you've got more chance of getting possessed in these church cults than you do being outside in the world, chair. Oh my God, Instagram, it's a bit blurry, isn't it? Actually, it's all right. Time, don't you rush. I love this song. All right, let's get into religious trauma syndrome. I'm a singer as well. I sing. Facts on facts. Faye. Oh, you lot. I love you lot, man. You lot are so lovely. All right, guys. So I think I'm going to just do up this and then I'm going to take a break. So what is religious trauma syndrome? I want to talk about this a little bit because it can help to identify these things in us. So RTS, I'm going to use the acronym, is classified as a set of symptoms ranging in severity, experienced by those who have participated in or left behind authoritarian, dogmatic, and or controlling religious groups and belief systems. All right. So this is when you get religious trauma, when you've experienced it. So you've had high exposure to these types of ideologies and rhetoric. So one interesting thing about RTS is that it's not present in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, that's the DSM-5, or the ICD-10, and as a diagnosable condition. So basically, you know, they have like, they can diagnose like BPD, PTSD, this and that. It's not actually recognized in that. And do you see, guys, this is why silence is compliance, because people are just getting on with things like, do you know what I'm saying, or just unaliving themselves, or they're getting unalive because of the trauma and it's not getting documented. That's why silence is compliance. It should be in the DSM, of course. I think some professionals are scared of offending religious people. Yeah, because religion's been really powerful. But because we're in the age of Aquarius, we've just had that MP. That's an ex-Jehovah Witness speaking out loud and proud. He don't care. So there's a lot more people, babe, who are getting into these areas. Do you know how many people I've spoken to that are into therapy, that they're doing law, they're doing this because they want to go in and implement changes and influence change at those levels. So we're getting more equilibrium, and that's why I'm saying in 10 to 20 to 30 years, my kids might grow up. My eldest might grow up and be this wild activist because of what happened to her mum and what happened to her. She might go on to, you know what I mean? It's the next generation. And you've got to remember, they've had control for thousands of years. So this is going to take some time, but this is the beginning of it. Like, we are the revolutionists. Do you get it? So I think it definitely will, because there's a lot of discussion in the therapeutic NHS sphere, and they are seeing a lot more people presenting with religious psychosis, okay, that have left cults, and people are seeking therapeutic advice. They are seeking advice from the GP. So these things are getting recorded. All right, so I think we're definitely moving in the right direction. But I don't want to say it's anger, but the vim that you've got for it definitely resonates with me, because it's like they should have been done that. I get you, babe. I get you, queen. I feel it. I feel the energy. I feel it, because they should have, and they have failed us. They have, but change is coming. Change is coming, because you've got to remember, this is a very powerful institution, guys. So it's taken a lot. It's taken a lot of like generations to come out of this type of thinking and the indoctrination. But it is included in other conditions that may be a focus of clinical attention. So they do like acknowledge and recognize it in some areas, but we do need it on the DSM-5. We do need it, or the ICD-10. So some of the symptoms that it includes, trolls, are you following this? Jobless girl, are you understanding? Symptoms include cognitive, affective, functional, and social cultural issues, as well as developmental delays. So, and that is because when we look at the cult psychology, there's age regression. So people are around the same people with the same culture, the same mindset. No one's growing, so you regress. You don't move forward. Oh, Queen Innocent is busting up. That's why they create the fake titles and positions or whatever, because people are not really advancing in life. It's just within the system. So that's why people get so angry when they leave, because they're like, I've been there for 20 years. I'm a reverend. This certificate don't mean nothing. It's been signed by Dagwood Mills under Lighthouse Chapel International, lol. I can't even go to another church and become a reverend, because they all got their systems inside that they do, because they're cults. So you got to think the way they think, because it's indoctrination. So he can't go and take that reverend certificate. It don't mean ish. So he's just wasted 20 years of his life building that. He can't take it nowhere. He can't do nothing with it. And it's false doctrine on top of that, to add injury to insult. No, they think science is demonic and wants to take them from their faith. I know, girl. It's really sad. Apart from when they encourage them to be doctors so they can get the money. But the only reason they do that is because of elitism. It like looks good, innit, when they got people in there who are doctors. Do you understand? So they don't care about people. They just care about, the air that it gives when you're a doctor. All right, so we're going to do what is religious syndrome, and then I'm going to go. So RTS occurs in response to twofold trauma. So first, the prolonged abuse of indoctrination is done by a controlling religious community. And second, the act of leaving the controlling religious community becomes hard. Okay? So you've got the prolonged abuse of indoctrination. That's what we need to heal from. And then we've got the fear of leaving the group, being excommunicated, etc. And that's how the RTS occurs. Is this making sense, guys? So it's the indoctrination and the trauma and the ABUSE and the control of the religious community. And secondly, it's the leaving, when we leave, because that's been our codependent mechanism, that's been our whole support infrastructure. So that is where we will see exasperation of mental health, going into spiritual psychosis. RTS occurs. Yeah? They think their cult teachings are equivalent to theology degrees. Actually, I'm going to disagree with you, Faye. They think it's above it. Faye, they think it's above it because the cult leader believes he's God, remember? My cult leader used to rubbish it like, they think they can come in and teach us our things. And yeah, girl. And then they want to come in and chat their chats about us, yeah, but we've got more unity than they ever have and ever will. So RTF, oh my gosh, I think I've just copied and pasted this, because how am I even going to, what word is this? Has developed its own heuristic collection of symptoms. I have no idea what that word means, yeah. If anyone does, let me know. Yeah, the codependency, yeah. It's a collection of symptoms informed by psychological theories of trauma, originating in PTSD, CPTSD, and betrayal trauma. Theory taking relational and social context, wow, into account when approaching further research and treatment. All right, so because it's not on the diagnostic chart, yeah, the DSM, then what they're doing up is they're looking at crossovers, because obviously CPTSD, remember I said we'll all have that because they run like armies. And then they've looked at betrayal trauma. Guys, all I ever say is I felt betrayed. So this is definitely, we definitely know that RTS has developed as a result of looking at these other psychological theories, and there's crossovers, so it's helped us understand. So do you see what I mean, guys? Do you see, as CPTSD is developed and this betrayal trauma and different theories and ideological concepts, it's helping to strengthen our argument. That's why I said to you, I'm doing the systematic review, because that is going to contribute to research, and that's also evidence-based. So it's taken into consideration all of these areas. Yeah. And then according to Winnell, RTS is explicitly tied to authoritarianism coupled with toxic theology. So look, Faye, there you go. So RTS is explicitly tied to authoritarian coupled with toxic theology. So we all have that. In Christian context, specifically in doctrines of original sin and eternal damnation. Yeah. So again, it's the fear of going to HELL when they have a real apocalyptic vibe to it. That's why Jehovah's Witness is a very, very dangerous culture. And then lastly, he continues to say, he explains the need for a label and the benefits of naming the symptoms encompassed by RTS as similar to naming that rexia as a disorder. And that is really important, guys. That is really, really important, looking at the symptoms and the causes and the trauma that leads to RTS, because then we can prevent it. That's the point of it. Understanding the symptoms, naming them, and having that diagnostic chart to be able to look at the symptoms essentially, and then being able to diagnose is where we need to move forward. The label can lessen shame. Yeah, because that's a huge thing when you come out of a cult, feeling ashamed that you were in a cult, you were naive, you were hoodwinked, feeling DUMB. So the label can lessen shame and isolation for survivors while promoting diagnoses, treatment and training for professionals who work with those suffering from the condition. So again, silence is compliance. How are they supposed to diagnose? How are they supposed to write research? How is this supposed to be a topic of conversation if everyone is church cult hopping and no one's going to seek professional help? There's no way that you could have come out of one church cult and you experienced so much trauma, and now you've cult hopped to another one and you're doing up praise and worship and you're doing up leader of this. Nah, that's cognitive dissonance. That's what that is. And on that note, I'm gonna go, guys. I think I'll come back and do another normal live, but all right, let's just quickly go through the symptoms and leave it at this, because I think knowing the symptoms are really important. Grief, crisis of faith or loss of belief, feelings of guilt, condemnation, shame, anxiety, depression, or post-traumatic stress disorder, or CPTSD, compulsive perfectionism. Oh my God. I've still got that. Like, even what I've done with the movement, like, I never feel like it's enough. I never feel like I'm doing enough. I never feel like I'm getting the word out. I'm always beating myself down. You know, my house is never clean enough. I'm never doing enough. That compulsive perfectionism is huge. Hey, Queen Nance. Self, you know what, low self-esteem or compromised self-worth. So do you see, guys, why I'm saying to go within, to build your confidence, to not give a you know what? It's all because these are what the symptoms are. So in order for us to break free, to break out of it, we've got to be in our own true authenticity. We've got to have self-worth. We've got to love ourselves. We've got to have self-love practices. This is what helps us. Hypervigilance. And you know what, guys, I want to say that I think when people have ADHD as well, and, you know, like autism, you know, this really does exasperate it as well. Would you guys agree? Hey, Queen, still love. Lack of boundaries between personal life and religious communities. So, you know, it's just one. That's why we'd spend like 4 hours on the phone with someone who's battling a mental health crisis, and now they're becoming codependent on us, and they're forming trauma bonds with us because, you know, and that's not realistic. There's no doctor, there's no medical health professional, there's no social worker, there's no therapist that's going to sit down with someone when they're in crisis for 4 hours. They just don't have that time. It's not realistic. So when they leave, you know, these settings, they just fall apart, just like jelly. They just collapse. So these pastors think they're helping people, but they're not. They're actually setting them up to fail. They're actually not giving them cohesive, they're setting them up to fail, and they're not helping them to be independent, to have, you know, like the skills to be able to survive in the outside world. And that's greedy. That's because they're narcissists. Identity confusion. Of course, we put on the identity of the born again Christian and trying to, you know, appease and make the pastor proud. It all gets connected to the cult leader in some way. You want to make your spiritual daddy proud. You want to do well. You want to make God pleased. And if you make the pastor pleased, you'll make God pleased. So you just got this, like, your identity is in being born again. So when you are excommunicated or you leave this environment, your whole perception of reality and how you see yourself collapses. So I had a splitting in my personality, and I had a psychotic episode as well. It could have been a schizophrenic episode, actually, if I had seeked help. But you know how it is in the Black community, we don't get help, chair, because that is demonized so much and it's not spoken about enough. So that's why I'm really candid, open, vulnerable, transparent with my mental health journey. As you know, I've been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, CPTSD, and getting an assessment for ADHD and autism. And I'm a proud neurodivergent BPD baddie girly. And I wear the not that I want to label myself, but I wear these labels with pride, because I'm a survivor. And, you know, with BPD, most of the people we struggle wanting to delete ourselves most of the day. So I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud in the work that I put in, just not to delete myself. And I don't want people to feel ashamed, or oh my God, Haynes, or weak. Because I'm a strong person. There's no one that has any chat for me. Are you having a laugh? But I'm a vulnerable adult. I'm a vulnerable adult that will line it up, though, quickly. Are you having a laugh? I'm a vulnerable adult that will line it up real quick. You get me? So don't ever get a twisted, chair. When you see them BPD eyes and you see that BPD rage. One woman tried to look at me today with the dogs, but I'm trying to calm down. So I just gave her the look. She started smiling. I said, yeah, turn that frown upside down, 304. Turn it all the way upside down and smile. That's what I thought. All right. And then we've got schmexual health and schmexual dysfunction. This is so key, guys, because the cult leader controls everything. They control your schmeg's life. Vulnerable, not an easy mark. Yeah, straight, man. You want to feel these vulnerable hands? You know what I'm saying, baby? You want to feel my vulnerable hands? No, let's stay focused, guys. So this is why I said to you, there was a 28-year-old taking Viagra that was married. Remember, because it like, I'm not a doctor in it, but I know that there's a connection with the libido. Do you know what I mean? And the way they feel like they want to do up schmegs, because the environment's so controlling, they don't get sleep. You know, men find it hard to do a lot of things at once as well, and they've always got a lot of tasks, and then the wife just lets herself go, so he doesn't even want her again. Do you know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of dysfunction, especially when the cult leader's controlling it. Remember, Dag Heward-Mills has got a book called Model Marriage. He's got positions in there, he's got drawings, diagrams. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's like, if the cult leader says that oral, you know what is not allowed, no one will be allowed to do it. If it's allowed, then they'll be promoting it. Do you understand what I'm saying? So they control even what you can do in the bedroom with your husband. There's a lot of SA and oversharing. Yeah, and also what we can put in here is the actual dysfunction. I see that in the church called promo testimonies when they get the girls to come up. Oh yeah, I used to be ran through like a train. My uncle essayed me when I was 5. My dad schmedged me when I was 10. And you got the preds in the back of the church waiting to prounce upon vulnerable little girl. So that is also actual dysfunction. We also see that in the preaching, the actual dysfunction, the way that they speak about women, the misogyny. Oh, you want to choose a woman that's a Coca-Cola bottle. You don't want to choose the one that is a woman of God. So you know they do all of that. But TikTok, I'm gonna have to go because this is my main account. It's been a movie. I'll be back on. Let me go and take a break. Check up if I think it's been very cool. I don't think I've got any, you know, whatever, but I'm gonna go now. I hope that this has been productive, guys. I hope that this is a resource, guys, to help, because ultimately, you know, I'm an academic, I'm an informal educator. That's what a youth and community worker is, an informal educator. And again, they put their nose down on youth workers. What do? You play cards? No, this is what we do, baby. Do you know what I mean? So I'm here to really advocate and represent the hood, represent the youth and community workers. You get me? On the ground. If you watch this, big up yourself. The people who are risking their lives to work with the gangs, the ones who are really on the roadside doing what the pastors and these organizations claim that they're doing, and they're getting peas. And they're out there doing detached outreach, helping young people get out of gangs, helping young people to find work, and then these churches, as the youth and community workers are helping them, they come and recruit the young people. That's what happens. I've been on the ground, I've seen it with my own 2 eyes. That's on period, point blank. Anyway, I'm gonna go. We're coming back for part 2. I don't know when that's gonna be, guys. It might be in half an hour, it might be in 5 hours, but I'll be back. Love you, TikTok. I love you so much. All right, love you, Insta. Thanks for listening and giving me a platform. Thank you, YouTube. Oh, YouTube, I said I'm going to look and see if there's any comments. Oh my God, Sarah, if you're still here, Nicole, if you're still here, I'm so sorry. I've got this leaned up against a candle jar, so I couldn't see any of the comments. But I do hope that this video acts as a really good resource and, you know, points and topics for discussion, you know, for people to have the information to be able to deconstruct and deprogram. Thank you so much for listening, guys, and I'll be back for part 2. Leia!